Ever feel like your workplace is draining your soul, leaving you exhausted at the end of each day? You're caught up in a web of office politics and negativity, and you're wondering if there is a way out. Listen, I've been there. It's hard to go to work day in and day out and give your best when the corporate machine seems like it's just doing its best to tear you down. Imagine transforming your life from surviving to thriving, even when the odds seem stacked against you. Welcome back, Sophisticates. I'm Davina Dandridge, offering you a golden parachute to handle your emotions through rough workplace challenges. Today, we're tackling a tough one: thriving in a toxic work environment. It sounds daunting, but I promise with the right tools and the right way of thinking, it's more than possible. You can actually take control of your career and how you handle your work emotions. Dealing with a toxic workplace can feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, right? I've been there. It's tough. It's like there's an invisible line and you dare not cross it, where overworking becomes the norm. Like if you're not always busy or always under stress, then you're not doing your job. And then suddenly your personal life, it starts to take a back seat. You're giving it all to your job, and then you come home exhausted and you can't contribute in the way that that you should, or even the way that you want to. And let's not even start talking about the trust issues. It's almost like there's a hidden camera on you, making everyone second guess your every move. Like you were hired to do this job, you're qualified to do this job, and now somehow everything has changed. And that fuels an endless cycle of doubt and insecurity. But here's where flipping the script with a bit of emotional intelligence and sophisticated empowerment could really make a difference. Imagine setting up those boundaries like a pro, where your work time is your work time and your off time is your off time. You're clear about when you're available and when you're not. And keeping that feeling of burnout away so you have energy both at work and especially at home where you need it. And when it comes to trust, it's about opening those lines of communication and showing a bit of vulnerability, but actually listening. Feedback is good. So don't get turned off just because you're not getting everything and hearing everything the way that you think you should. Use the feedback. Don't wait until it gets to the point where you're getting written up that you take heed to what they've been telling you all along. But if you practice emotional intelligence and sophisticated empowerment, you're laying down the bricks for a solid foundation where you can trust and rebuild your work persona piece by piece. And when you make mistakes, they're not the end of the world. People make mistakes. We're human. It creates an environment where everyone is in it together. When you're operating in your own empowerment, everyone around you is learning and growing. And mostly importantly, you're supporting each other. You find support when you are authentic and you're operating in your own empowerment. Because bringing in a touch of sophistication and living by the bling principles is like you're curating your own work life masterpiece. It's about being contemplative and making those small but bold changes in how you think and how you interact. And it can become a ripple effect. And it's not only just transforming your own work experience, but the whole workplace culture or your environment. It can't help but be influenced by who you are and the changes in your mindset and how you make people feel by honoring their emotions as well. And that's what emotional intelligence is all about. It's about creating a space where you're not just surviving, but you're thriving, both professionally and personally. So why not give it a shot and see how managing your emotions can change the game at work? Let's start with the first point, and that is recognizing toxicity. You have to understand when you're in an environment that's not conducive to your emotions. Let's start by shining a light on what makes a workplace toxic. And the first step is self-awareness. So in order to determine if you're in a toxic environment, you have to understand if you've changed. if your emotions have changed, if your thinking has changed, if your behavior has changed, getting you to the place where you are right now, feeling uneasy at work. Okay, so self-awareness is the way to understand, how am I doing? How am I feeling right now? Am I stuck and just haven't realized it? You manage your emotions even in high pressure or abusive work conditions when you are aware of who you are. In my own work history, the underdevelopment of emotional intelligence kept me in toxic work environments for far too long. And in other times when I applied emotional intelligence, it empowered me to know when I had overstayed my welcome. Listen, when the comfort and success you used to feel at work slowly drifts away, your new status becomes a shock to you, and it's a bad one too. You know, a red flag that you are somehow losing your status at work might be when somebody comes and pulls you to the side and lets you know that there are discussions going on about your performance and they're going on behind your back. Or even worse, the people who you thought were your work besties, they knew about these talks and didn't say anything to you. So who can you trust? Think about this. Most people spend 40 hours or more a week in this work environment. And if you allow this toxic environment to have its way with your emotions, how will you survive this? And I'm going to tell you, you can't. If you do nothing and let your emotions just go up and down with the way that somebody else is controlling them, then you won't survive. Because trouble at work shows up in your behavior. That self-awareness time, you need to be introspective. You know, just think, do you bring your work drama home with you? Do you? Does your inability to speak at work translate into a short fuse at home? Like nobody can say anything to you at home without you going off, but at work, you can't open your mouth to take up for yourself. You think you're holding it all together, but you're yelling at your loved ones who just want to talk to you or spend time with you. The endless negativity and the cutthroat competition and the leadership that seems to thrive on drama has your emotions on a roller coaster ride. I mean, now you can't do anything right at work. Whatever you say in the meeting just doesn't come out right. Your report is somehow missing something. Emotional intelligence is the one skill that works in every situation and in all environments, including your work environment. So practicing self-awareness helps you to maintain your self-worth. As you manage this tough season at work, you need to know who you are. You know, you won't remain in this status forever. Either your employer will change your status or you can change your status. You need to maintain your self-worth so that you make decisions using logic and faith and not fear. Fear is what will make you miss out on opportunities for change. And you know, sometimes there is a signal, there's a sign on the wall saying that, look, it's time for you to reassess and do something different. Fear makes you miss out on opportunities to exercise your faith. Faith is really what's going to get you through this. Listen, there's one red flag that you may not have even considered. And you know what that flag is? That it's time for you to move on. You're no longer fulfilled in this role. You're not even fulfilled by the pay that it offers. Or you might feel like you are dumbing yourself down because you're not in the right place. You're not surrounded by the right people. You're not getting any stimulation from your environment. Unfulfillment sets in because your best skills and talents are not being used. And this position that you're in is no longer fulfilling you. You could move to a different department. That might help it. Or move to a different position at the same company. Those may be options for you to get out of this bad working situation. But perhaps you need to change companies or industries altogether. But that's something that contemplation and self-awareness will allow you to understand. But here's a step that you can do right now to get you underway to really start looking at your work environment differently, assessing where you are, what your status truly is at work, and become empowered with self-worth and self-confidence to develop a strategy to either get promotion, move departments, or change jobs, or start your own business altogether. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to grab a notebook, a journal, whatever you have, and I want you to become a workplace emotions sleuth for 1 week. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down what feels off and how it's impacting you. When there's an incident that happens, why do you think you felt the way that you felt? What was your response? And did it trigger you to a thought or feeling that was negative about yourself? And so this way you can start seeing if there are patterns that you've never noticed before. And then if those patterns are because of your own behavior, then you have the opportunity to do something about it. Remember, you can't change other people, but you can change how you show up and how they interact with you. But listen, Eleanor Roosevelt once said that no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that's a powerful reminder that we have more control over our lives than we are using. Having self-awareness and using emotional intelligence allows you to be assertive and to operate within your confidence so you don't fall prey to office politics and those mind games that the corporate machine does on everyone. Okay. Oh, I am on such a roll right now, and there is so much more that I want to say. So I've decided to make this a two-part series. We've just completed the first part. And navigating the storm of a toxic environment is no easy feat. So that's why we're going to break it down, okay? But remember, sophisticates, you are resilient, you're resourceful, and you are ready to thrive. So in this first part of the series, we explored strategies to at least recognize when you're in a toxic environment and begin building emotional resilience in the workplace so you can have that strength that you need, that tough skin to get through some of those hurdles that you might face. But our journey doesn't end here. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive deeper into the importance of emotional resilience and explore additional tools to empower your professional path. Don't miss out. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when part 2 drops. And remember, together, we can turn trials into triumphs. So let's face these storms together, emerging stronger, wiser, and more empowered than ever before.